Today's episode of Citizens in St. Lucie with Gabby Rothman was a fun one. What I want this space to be is somewhere where two people can sit down and talk, politics aside, and get to know each other. Whether they're running for political office or they're just a citizen of St. Lucie, I want this to be a place where people can come and tell their story and tell what they love so much about this place. And Gabby did just that. I was familiar with Gabby coming into the interview. I voted for her in the last election when she ran for tax collector. But I think it's hard to know who a politician really is. They always put a face forward that they want the community to see. But when Gabby and I sat down, that face went away. We were two friends talking about what we liked about this place and what we don't like about this place sometimes. And that was refreshing. She wasn't here to push an agenda. She was here to talk about how great this place is and how much she loves serving the people of St. Lucie County. She has spent her entire adult life doing just that. From the public defender's office to the United Way and a lot of places in between. I think today's interview does a great job of getting to know who Gabby Rothman is at the heart. And at the heart, she's somebody who wants to help this area in any way that she can. We need more Gabby Rothmans. If you know more Gabby Rothmans, or if you want to be more involved in your community, come in here and talk to me. Let's talk about what opportunities exist and maybe where we can make some changes or some impacts. I think that change is going to start with us as citizens. I debated whether or not I wanted to say this. It's my belief that we're going to get out of this community what we put into it. Not what politicians think or not what politicians do, but what we do. Let's make our area better. At the end of the day, we all still live here. And I think that we can do a better job of making this the kind of place that we remember it being and that we want it to be going forward. Gabby is one of the people that's doing that. I'm glad to highlight her, and I hope that you tune in for the episode and give us some feedback. Let us know what you'd like to hear, or if there's anybody else that you'd like for us to talk to. I don't know where we're supposed to look, right? I've kind of struggled with that, to be honest. Like, I don't know, Should I look here and talk to the people we're talking to, or should I look at the person?
I know, you never know.
Anyway, all right. Citizens of St. Lucie, episode 5. We're off to the races. Gabby Rothman, right? Dan Dixon.
Yeah.
Again, this is going to be a little bit different than a couple of the first episodes that I did. I'm glad that we're so new into the process, 3-4 episodes in, and people like you are interested even in coming on, much less excited to come on. I feel kind of honored. Someone's excited to come in and talk to me. That's new. I had to wrangle the first few people in, but you were very excited to come in, very excited to share your story with me, and I'm very excited to hear it. I like people that are excited about St. Lucie. So I guess let's start with your introduction to St. Lucie County, which, according to my research, was about the age of 20. So I'm assuming you weren't born here.
Right.
Where were you born?
I wasn't born. I was born in Dover, Delaware, on an Air Force Base hospital. Okay, so I'm third generation Fort Pierce.
Okay.
My grandparents moved to Fort Pierce. My parents met in Fort Pierce.
Awesome.
My dad joined the Air Force. So with that, we traveled around the country.
You got to see a little bit of everywhere.
Yes. I said I lived everywhere but nowhere.
Right.
And so I was born in Dover, Delaware Air Force Base Hospital. But when I was a young woman and I just graduated from high school, I moved to Fort Pierce because my grandmother was still here and my mom was here. And so as soon as I got to Fort Pierce, I said, that's it.
Okay.
I'm planting roots. This is where I want to be. And so...
and what was your family name? What was your maiden name?
My maiden name was Emers, E-M-E-R-S.
Okay.
My father was from the island of Bonaire.
Okay.
So he moved to this country and he didn't speak English. And he joined the military. And so he fought for our country. He served for 23 years.
Amazing.
And he died in active service in the 70s. So I've always been, I'm a proud daughter of a veteran.
Yes.
So veterans are a huge priority to me.
Excellent. So, all right, we get to about age 20.
Yes.
How do we wind up in Fort Pierce? So you said your grandparents moved here.
So we're going to back it up 18.
Okay.
And so my grandparents were here and my mother was here. And I started school at IRCC.
Okay. You know, in the last episode I did, which is coming out today, actually, episode 4, we talked a little bit about IRCC, which is what it was called when I, was coming up, and what it was called, I think, until the early 2000s or maybe, 2010 time. They've come a long way with their
yes, they have.
campus there. It's quite the spectacle these days, and I think 25,000 students across all their network, which is crazy.
And they have that Promise program too. So now a student can get a free a 2-year education. So
I didn't know about that until just a few months ago. It's a tremendous thing that they're doing.
Well, they had a huge benefactor, Gates.
Okay.
And so it has just benefited our community.
Yeah.
So it's so exciting. I'm really proud of our SC.
Yeah.
But anyway, I met my husband. He was here from Broward County.
Okay.
He was here on a baseball scholarship.
Nice.
And I was
So what year was this?
This was in 84.
Okay.
And so I didn't want anything to do with baseball players, jocks. But there was something about him that intrigued me.
Sure.
He just had the greatest sense of humor.
He wore you down.
He wore me down. and so I just something about him, we just connected. And what intrigued me about him is he was from Broward, and he was born and he grew up in the same household. He lived in the same home his whole life.
Okay.
And I had never known that. And I said, that is what I want.
Yeah.
And so I said, I'm planting roots. I'm staying here. And so we fell in love.
Yeah.
And we both chose careers in public service. He went to work for the sheriff's office, and I went to work for the public defender's office, and we started our life.
Yeah.
And so I was in college, and my goal was to go to law school. And we were young, and he was a young sheriff's deputy at the time, and just realizing the amount of debt that our family would have taken on to put me through law school. And so I decided...
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It was a lot. And I was looking to go to a private university, so it would have been a lot.
Okay.
And so I decided to put my dreams on hold. And my husband's career, he started to rise the ranks in the sheriff's office. So I held it down at home.
Yep.
But 25 years ago, my boss, Diamond Liddy, she was very active in the United Way at the time.
Okay.
And so she put me in charge of being the Florida State Employees Charitable Campaign Coordinator.
Now, she is or was the public defender,
she still
correct?
Is.
Yeah, still is.
Yes, she is, yes. And so she's a wonderful, wonderful human.
Yes.
And so I would go around the 19th Judicial Circuit, and I would tell people, if you want to contribute to a charity, you can do it through payroll deduction. So I'd give presentations at 7 o'clock in the morning at the Department of Transportation. I'm always talking about charity, give to charity. And so I really bought into it.
So it sounds like, you're obviously passionate about giving back.
Yes.
But through your employment with the public defender, did that open your eyes to some of the problems that we have here? I mean, I'm sure you see people in the worst of the worst situations there, right? But then also some of the programs that maybe exist that you don't see in day-to-day life, just normal civilian, we don't see. But you get to interact with and say, hey, maybe this program could step in and help this person and make some change. Is that...
You're very smart.
I'm pretty perceptive.
You're very perceptive. For me, I did that. I worked in that career for 30 years.
Right.
And the one thing I discovered at the end of the day, people want to feel seen and heard. There are people that have been arrested and charged with crimes. They might have made a mistake. They felt like law enforcement was against them. They felt like the courts are against them. Their family was against them. But that was my gift. I would make them feel seen and heard. And so...
They needed that one person.
Just that one person.
Sometimes that's all it takes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I realized that. And so, it just became something that it became a part of me.
Yeah.
And you're right. Connecting people and families to programs, to services. That's what happens. Most people are not aware of what's available. And if you have that one,
exactly right.
And I consider myself a connector.
Yes.
And so I do that very well. I can say you need to get in touch with mustard seed. You can get a bike. So once you get out of jail, you can go on a job interview.
I'm so bad at that. So like I admire that about you. I like to think that I can solve everyone's problems myself, and I don't need this help. Like I can go get that bike, but there's way more people than just someone like me or you that you can help individually. I think something that we can do with this platform, and it was one of the reasons why I was really interested in you coming in, is that there are so many great programs and so many great people that are running them, but that information is maybe hard to come by, or that the marketing for those groups is not, look, marketing's hard.
It is.
And getting your word out is hard. And you might have the greatest organization and the most help for people, but if they don't know you exist, it's not going to help anybody. I'd love to dive into what some of those programs that you've seen over the years are, how they've impacted and helped our community. So I'm sure we're going to get there. I don't want to get too far ahead of your story, but
no,
that's part of what I think would be cool on this platform, is being able to highlight some of those things that can benefit our community.
Right.
You know, I'm sure if anyone's watched, I've brought up our homeless population, I think, in almost every episode.
Right.
Being down here in this office, and you were public defender's office, so you were down here in this area forever. It doesn't take long to figure out that there's a problem going on. And I'm sure that there are plenty of organizations that have the capability to help, but these people just don't know that it even exists.
Right.
So, yeah, interesting.
So there's so many different layers to homelessness. And from my experience, a large population of people that are incarcerated, you know, it's 3 hots in a cot or on the street. From my research, I've found that many homeless people, they don't want to comply. They live a life where there's no rules, they're not accountable to anybody. You know, mental health, drug addiction.
It's bad.
So, I mean, you can be the best at giving them help and giving a home and putting a roof over their head and giving them food. But if they're not going to comply, you can't, you can lead them, to water, a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
It is very challenging.
It's a huge challenge.
Yeah.
And so it's going to take a lot. I mean, it's something that we are really going to have to be active about and be very proactive about it. So I'm going to lead into the United Way. So that was kind of that, opened the door, opened my eyes to the great need in St. Lucie County.
Yep.
I was invited to become a member of the allocations panel. So I was out there raising money for United Way, but now I had a seat at the table to say, okay, where is the money going to go? Which program needs this, our funding? And so it's almost like being in a jury room.
Okay.
Everybody, it's different volunteers from different, sectors of the community, and everybody has a different appeal. Different programs come in and they're fighting, for the donor dollars. And so what appeals to me may not appeal to somebody else. But being that I had actively raised, I would be here at the Fort Pierce Farmers Market selling fudge on a Saturday to raise money for United Way. So I felt like I had skin in that game.
You were doing your part.
And so I was going to fight for those dollars to make sure the ones that I felt that were creating the greatest need.
Let me ask you a question. This might sound, now I'm not well versed in the world of charities, so you're going to have to educate me a little bit here. United Way is big.
Right.
Right. That's a big name that I think everybody knows.
Right.
Your part, tell me the name of what you just said you were doing. What was your title?
I was a volunteer.
Okay.
I was on the allocations panel.
The allocations panel.
Right.
I think I know what those words mean.
Right.
So United Way, this big organization, the allocations panel, is that more of like a local, United Way, you're going to allocate the money here to this area, but you obviously don't know where it's the most needed. Is that allocation panel is to decide, okay, here's our areas of need in this community?
So we as volunteers, we are given the grant. When a program decides to apply for funding, you're given a huge grant packet. It gives all of the details, the inner workings, the employee staff.
That sounds like paperwork. I'm out.
You have to go to a training to actually learn how to fill out this packet. So you must really want those dollars.
Right.
And so, but you get to see, and that's what gave me the bird's eye view of the work that was being done in my community. Mm-hmm. And some of these smaller, maybe best kept secrets we're not getting the recognition.
Right.
And so, but with that, it opened my eyes to other programs. I didn't know Graceway Village was in my own backyard.
Yep.
And so because I was on the United Way allocations panel, I toured the facility. And from that, I said, well, let me come. I knew they served Sunday dinners. My son was in school at John Carroll. And I said, son, well, every Sunday, you're going to come with mom and we're going to serve Sunday dinner.
I'm going to take this as an opportunity to invite Crystal Netherton on the show.
Yes.
Crystal, I've known you forever. I
Yes.
want to know more about what you're doing at Graceway. So by all means, seats yours whenever you want to come in.
Yes, and I'll make sure that happens.
Okay, good.
No, so with that, I got involved and I was serving alongside Judge Buck Bryan, who was a board member at the time. He's a very dear friend of mine, and he invited me to become a board member, and I said, sure. And so my strength that I bring to nonprofits is fundraising. And so with that, I just enjoyed it. And so I went to work, I did the father-daughter dance, raised a lot of money, and it just, every initiative that I got involved with, it just became a piece of me.
Okay.
And it
becomes special to you. Like you start to know the people that you're maybe helping or that you're working towards. And it becomes a part of like what you're, every day is that's what you're working towards.
And I feel like there's so many other initiatives that I've been involved with, building the Kiwanis Playground or Rotary Park. My blood, sweat, and tears and DNA is all over St. Lucie County.
Yes. So the initial Rotary Park.
Yes.
My granddad was very instrumental in, right? Instrumental, I think is the right word.
Yeah, both.
But I remember they had the planks with all the family names on them. And I think that they've redone that a number of times over the years. I don't know if that is still in place as a new families, I'm sure. But as a kid, I remembered going there shortly after it was constructed, and I thought it was cool. You saw all the St. Lucie County names that you heard, my grandparents and my parents talk about. You saw those names on the planks. I thought that was really cool and a way to get the community kind of involved in the park. It's not, it's just our tax dollars go to that.
Right.
All of our names are there. So that's
it's legacy.
Cool. Yes.
It's a legacy.
Yes.
And that's what we're part of. We're part of something greater than ourselves.
I thought that was so cool. Whoever had that idea, it was a great
and there's
idea.
so many. There's so many people in this community, unsung heroes that most people don't, and they don't want the recognition.
Yeah.
They don't do this for recognition.
Yeah.
And so I kind of always was that person that kind of hid behind the scenes and I made things happen. I was kind of like don't look at behind the curtain, but I was kind of,
You're one of those people doing 500 things that if they weren't getting done, we probably wouldn't have this event, but you don't see it when the day of the event comes around.
And I never sought that.
Yeah.
And
that's not why you're doing it.
No, but it just confounded. Everything that I did just helped me grow, helped me love this community so much more. So I served a long time in a career, one career. I called myself a one-job wonder.
Yep.
And I always knew I'd have a second career and wanted a second career in public service because I joke with my husband's in law enforcement. I said, we wake up every day to serve.
Yeah.
I've taught my son I have a responsibility to leave this place better than when I found it. And so I live that.
I hope we're doing a good job.
100%.
Some days I'm not sure, but I feel like we're kind of moving in the right direction.
But those yourself and myself that are generational.
Yeah.
We're not better than anybody. We have
not at all.
No, we have a responsibility just to show up.
Yeah.
That's community, showing up.
I agree. And there's one pathway that you can take, and a lot of locals that I know do. It's like bury my head in the sand and just complain about all these new people.
Yeah.
But I think that's a loser's mentality. Not to call those people losers, but we're never going to win that discussion, that fight. Look, people want to come here. It's beautiful. It's really nice. There's a reason why we like it, right? And so, I think there is a lot of it that we would hope to keep the same. But when people come in, new people come in, things are going to change. And it's just reality.
I think you're onto something. I think we need to show the new people why we love this place.
Yeah, let's not just tell them how great it is.
We
can show them.
Yes, go to the farmers market, go to Friday Fest, go to Oxbow Eco Center. That's why we go to the lagoon. That's why we love this community so much.
Yes. Go to some of our local restaurants. Go to, there's so many.
Happy Garden. Really, we're killing it in Fort Pierce.
Yeah.
Moonshwiners.
I mean, we've got all kinds of seafood that you can access, and, we should do better on that front. But
Yeah.
We're a pretty cool place, and I think trying to say, "Hey, we're great. We want to keep it this way. Don't come." Is
No.
You can't
Okay,
do
so we
that.
got to go to numbers because I'm a statistical person.
Okay.
I only speak in facts. 5 years. We've noticed this growth in 5 years. Fort Pierce, we've grown, 2%.
Okay.
Port St. Lucie, 25%.
Tremendous difference, right?
Tremendous difference. I mean, Fort Pierce is hanging on. I get it. We're hanging on to protect what we love so much. Being on the Economic Development Advisory Board, I know that there is no land south. It's coming this way.
There's nowhere else for you
There's
to build
nowhere
anything.
else for us to build. And so, but we've got to do this smart.
Right.
And we need to, remember the original pioneers and why they came here and stay true to that, the citrus families, the ag families. But it's not stopping. The train's not stopping. It's left the station.
Yeah, we don't even have a station. The bright line skips right by.
I know.
I hear that stupid horn all the time.
I know. So, but people like, you and myself, we're out there and we're talking about why this is, such a wonderful, remarkable community.
Yeah. All right, I'll rewind a little bit.
Okay.
You said something a second ago, and it was you left your career maybe
Right.
to pursue public service.
Right.
I don't want to lose sight of the fact that you were at the public defender's office.
A long time.
I would view that as public service.
Yeah,
Even though you were getting
100
paid, that is a very,
doesn't
very
get any work.
under-recognized position, right?
Thankless.
Yeah.
You don't show up for glory.
Yeah.
You're there to serve.
Generally meeting people at their lower times, like you need the public defender. It's
You do.
you're
But they have
out
a
on your luck,
constitutional right.
Right.
Do I believe everything they did? I mean, no.
Sure. Nor do you support it, but that's not what
Exactly.
you're there for.
Exactly. Make sure that they get a fair and impartial trial.
Cool.
So.
I'm sure in 30 years you have some stories from the public defender's
You have
office.
no idea.
Got any you want to put out here? That's another episode. Sure.
That's another episode.
All right, so we get to our end of our working career at the public defender's office. Mm-hmm. Decide, I'm not done yet.
I'm not done yet.
But
I'm at my
I need
fighting
something
weight now.
different. Okay.
I'm at my fighting weight.
We're just getting started,
I'm
right?
just getting started.
Cool. Where do we go from there?
So I decided to run for public office.
Okay.
I saw an office that I thought could use improvement.
What year was this?
This just happened in 24.
Okay. I voted for you. I should know that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the vote. Thank you.
Yes.
It wasn't about, challenging somebody. I mean, somebody had been in office a long time.
And you ran for tax collector.
I ran for tax collector. I didn't know the office holder, but that's the one office that every resident comes in contact with.
Yeah.
Of the 5 constitutionals, the sheriff, the property appraiser, clerk of court, and supervisor of elections. Tax collector is the resident. Every resident comes in contact.
Yep.
And I said, what better job for me than to be the tax collector?
Right.
I mean, of course, I could have picked a sexier title besides tax.
Yeah, that's we kind of joked before I turned the camera on that tax collector is not the title that I'd be searching out for.
No, it just kind of fell. But I said, I'm going to live with this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show people that the tax collector's office can be kind and friendly.
And you can make a difference.
Absolutely. And that was my goal. I saw so many services that I thought that St. Lucie County residents need. St. Lucie County residents were going to Martin and Indian River County for services that should be right here.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I talked about in my campaign was the concealed carry permit. Came out day one. I talked about my husband, law enforcement, and my veterans, Blue family, should never go to their government office and be turned away for a service they've earned the right. Say, we don't offer that. Go to Martin or Indian River County.
Yeah.
That could have been done 11 years ago.
Should have
been.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to fight. The residents didn't know that.
Why do you think that is the policy here?
I probably shouldn't say. Fair
enough.
The office holder has the right to make the decisions, as you can clearly see, without input from the residents.
Yeah.
It made me mad enough to step up and fight.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to
Well,
fight
that's a lot
this.
of times that's what it takes. Like,
Right.
I think we all see issues with government, whether it's local or national or federal, whatever. We all see issues.
Right.
Stepping up and taking initiative and trying to change that is another story. Most people don't.
They just sit back and complain.
Like me.
So you got the 1 or 2% that actually step up,
Right.
And it's no joke.
Yeah.
Like you put everybody that you love, your family, everybody through this, and they didn't sign up for this, But it was enough to me to say, I want to fight for this because my residents deserve better.
What was that experience like? So had you ever run for public office before?
Never.
I don't envy you. It seems like such a terrible experience. Everyone wants to talk about how terrible you are.
Yes.
Just highlight the bad stuff, right?
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you, though?
Well, for years, people had wanted me to run for clerk of court.
Okay.
And I just said, no, I'm not interested in that. I do so much better work behind the scenes. I make things happen behind the scenes. And then, as I finished this career, I said, it's time.
Yeah.
When you join a board, you're eventually going to level up. You're going to be the vice chair or the chair. You're stepping up. And I said, okay, this is my turn to step up to a leadership position in this county. And so, it was, because I had been around, because my boss, and I had 2 previous public defenders, so I'd been around politics. I knew politics. I didn't know the real side of politics.
You didn't know politics.
Until I became a candidate.
Yeah.
But I always stayed true to myself. I always told the truth. And I just stood firm in what I stood for. And there was no wavering. I wasn't going to switch and flip whenever somebody would say, this is exactly what I stand for. And, I got my master's degree during the campaign.
Okay. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. So I traveled around the state. I observed, because when I go I'm a researcher. So I traveled around the state. I visited other tax collectors' offices. I don't need to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
I saw these services and I said, we need to bring this to my county.
Find somebody who's doing something successfully or that's having,
Absolutely.
Why not emulate that?
And why not emulate that? And I know it can be done. It's not like I'm just pulling things from the sky and saying, this sounds like a great idea.
Right.
I know it can be done. And so my campaign, I brought forth, I think I was probably a very exceptional candidate. Most candidates say, I'm running on lower taxes and better roads. I'm like, no, I'm running on, I'm going to get the office open at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to get the concealed carry permit. I'm going to get the TSA pre-check.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring a drug. I gave a full litany, a full blueprint of how I was going to change the office.
Right.
You don't see that. But I was an unknown name in politics. And many elected officials used the marketing strategy. You'll see their name on every building, every check, every vending machine, every toilet.
The sheriff at that election was taking no liberties with his social media posts. So, it was everywhere, right?
And, I find that maybe they do that to get reelected, to keep getting reelected. I always said, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
When I'm your elected tax collector, unlike the current office holder, you're never going to write your check to my name. This office belongs to the people, not a person.
Yeah.
My name is not going to be slapped over. If I'm not going to get reelected, then the people.
You weren't going to put a big picture of yourself on the window and all that?
Nope. I'm bringing it back old school. We're going to go back to the great seal of Florida, the state of Florida, and it's just it's going to be. I'm bringing it back to good old fashioned customer service.
What were, and I'm sure hundreds that you could point to. Oh. 1 or 2 unexpected hurdles in the political campaign process that maybe you didn't see coming.
I anticipated almost everything.
Okay. Well, you said you did your research, so I'm sure nothing caught you completely off guard.
No, and I always kind of felt like I would not remain without being in a primary. I kind of knew that's kind of like the game they play in politics. Mm-hmm. Let's throw her into a primary, see if we can get rid of her.
Yeah.
And so I got thrown into a primary, but I knew the polls. I knew how I was polling. So, it was a plan. But I barreled right through that primary, which made me very proud.
Yeah, it gives you some confidence, too.
And then my primary opponent switches parties and joins forces with the office holder.
Yeah.
So it was a big game.
Right.
I don't think anybody in St. Lucie County had seen that before, where they switch parties and then they join forces.
Yeah.
So I must have really been shaking people up.
They were scared of you.
Yeah.
Maybe so.
Yeah. So, and I think that was enough to pull some votes from me. I'm really proud. I got 90,000 votes.
Did losing that election, did it leave a bad taste in your mouth?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so during the campaign, my campaign mentor, I said, I'm never doing this again. She said, don't say that. She was right.
Never say never.
What happens in politics is that you get bit by this bug.
Okay.
And it's something remarkable. And I remember because I was a grassroots candidate. I knocked on thousands of doors. And I would talk to the people and I would tell them, and they'd challenge me. And then I found myself getting better, and I found it becoming a part of me. And the residents would say, young lady, we don't need you to run for tax collector. We need you to run for a higher seat. We need people like you. And so it became greater than me. I said, this is not about me anymore. This is about the people.
Yeah.
And so they believed in me. And so that's what I'd have to say remarkable that happened, because it became greater than me.
And you probably developed new relationships or tighter relationships maybe that you didn't have before.
I met so many people. You think your friends are all going to be part and they want you to get, no. They're doing their own thing. But
I learned that with this, my stupid videos. Like the people that watch them are the people who I least expected to watch. It's not like my closest friends are beating down the door to watch my episodes, but people are, and it's people that I didn't expect. So it's interesting,
So I had people that joined on my campaign team that I had not met, but they heard my story and they could feel my passion, and they rode hard for me.
Right.
And I feel bad because they felt like they lost too. They still send me messages. We missed you. We missed the campaign, because I was out there 5 o'clock in the morning on Bayshore, waving at people, 6 o'clock at night. I mean, it was hard.
It's full time. You have to.
It was grueling. But like I said, I learned a lot, and I gained so much confidence. I gained my voice.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like it was not a loss. Even though I lost by 1%, I'm a different person than I was 2 years ago.
You take those things, and you could let negative experiences send you in a very dark, wrong direction. But if you learn from them, you move, you get better. Like that's ultimately what we're supposed to be doing here, I think.
Exactly.
Is getting better at this. Everybody's kind of going through their own experiment, but I mean, you learn from those. Not mistakes. Running was definitely not a mistake, but you learn from those negative experiences, I guess, and you build them into more positives. And obviously, you're still on fire for the area. You want to do as much as you can.
Yes.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about some of the areas that you're still active in, right? Okay. I'm sure you've wound down some of them. But some of the areas where you're still passionate about, like where do you spend your time now?
Okay, so I had to, I got my master's degree. I had a full blueprint of how I was going to run the office. I was ready to go to work day one.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden, the day after the election, it's like crickets. And I'm like, I didn't see this happening.
What do I do now?
What do I do now? So I had to grieve it, had to process it, but then I had to get it back up again. And so I did something new. I started a business.
Okay.
So what I do well, I market. And so, but it was always
you figured that out about yourself, probably. Like you probably knew it, but you get out there and you really sell yourself in an election. Like you find out some things.
And I sell other people. That's what I always did effectively, is sell other people. And that's kind of like the basis of my my marketing business, is I make others shine.
Yeah.
When opportunity doesn't knock, I'll open the door. So starting new, because I was never been a business owner before. And so this is a new experience for me.
It is a challenge. There's a lot of things that like you don't know until you dive in. Like I'm sure running for office, until you run into operating your own business, you don't think about those things. It's like, wait, while I was working, my taxes just got deducted from my check. What do you mean I got to keep track of all these things?
I know. Yeah. So, but I took on a primary client, and that's the St. Lucie County Education Foundation. And it's something that I believe in and I support. Now,
is that a public work or is that like a private foundation? I don't know anything about it.
It is a nonprofit that supplements St. Lucie County public schools. Okay, so 85% of children in St. Lucie County go to public schools.
Yep.
Okay, and that's paid through by tax dollars. The foundation is a nonprofit that we are able to go into and to supplement, and teachers and students provide scholarships, programs. It's, it helps children be successful. We're now A-rated schools.
Yeah.
For the first time.
Which is tremendous.
Tremendous.
I think for a long time, St. Lucie County schools maybe weren't so forthcoming with the results that they were getting. And there was a real downturn in the results that were coming out of St. Lucie County schools. I don't know if I'm saying that the right way.
Right.
But I feel like ultimately somebody's eyes were going to have to be opened. We were going to have to make some changes and say, hey, like we want better results. We don't just want to fall into the norm. We don't want to be the same as everybody else around here. Mm-hmm. We want to actually have good schools. Right. And that's ultimately, I think, how we build our areas through education. I'd be really interested to know, like, what are the programs that you guys seek into?
So, no, you're definitely on point with that. And that is also, through EDC and through realtors coming to this area. That's the first thing you want to know. How are your schools?
Yep.
And so I'm just very proud that we're finally A-rated. So scholarships.
Yeah.
We recognize teachers. Teachers in a classroom. And they they need funding to supplement a program. We have a wonderful program called Play with Purpose.
Okay.
And so it takes kindergartners and first graders, and they go into the classroom, and it's like, I want to say maybe 60 different things. You can be a law enforcement officer, you can be a chef, and it farm to table. So they had taken out toys out of the classroom.
Yeah.
Now they're going back in, and the kids are getting involved, and they're seeing all the different steps. And the kids look forward to going to school the day that they're going to.
That's so awesome.
So it's exciting.
I think, and this is from aerial perspective, and I've done no researching on this. I think just sending kids to kindergarten, first grade, and saying, hey, here's school, you're going to learn math, science, language, and we're going to do it in the book. And that's traditional, that's traditionally how school's gone. We're getting now, you take those kids into 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th grade. They've only ever done that. No one's ever told them what jobs are even available out there. They know what mom and dad does maybe. They know maybe some jobs in their atmosphere. But there's a whole world of jobs out there that these kids probably don't know. And if they could latch on to something and say, hey, I'm really into this. This is something that I really like. Then those areas of school become a lot more meaningful. You're working towards something. It's not just, hey, we're trying to get a good grade on this test. We're trying to prepare you for your future. Here's something that you like. That just seems so common sense to me. And it's like we don't or haven't done that. And I think it's maybe sounds like what you guys are kind of focusing in on.
So if a child can't read by the 3rd grade, the chances of success, are very minimal.
Yeah.
So we've got to work on that. So until 3rd grade, we read to learn.
Yep.
And so when after that, then we read. Anyway, but it's just so, it's just so important to keep children engaged in books. I love books.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of all of the technology, the tablets,
It's not the same as turning pages.
It's not the same, and the smell, and just the pictures.
Right.
It's just but that's what we do. We have the reading initiative programs, bringing in books, giving them, books to take home, and we do that in Rotary.
And for a lot of kids, I think in our public schools, and this is something that I would imagine a lot of people don't grasp, when those kids leave school and they go home, there aren't endless entertainment opportunities, and a book to one of those kids could be the door that they needed to be open to just, hey, there's something outside of these 4 walls here that I can explore.
Exactly.
Books, I think, are even taken for granted. So that's
and I know,
phenomenal.
and I find that that's something I don't want to get away with. There's some things I'm just old school about.
Yes.
So, like I said, in Rotary, we have this annual initiative. We give out dictionaries, and we go to all the 2nd grade classes.
It's not named after me, by the way. The annual initiative, not after me. Somebody much cooler.
And we sit there and we look up words, and we show them how learning can be fun, and say, this is your own dictionary, take it home, and and the kids are so excited about it.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to do. Make the kids excited about reading and learning and being in school and improving. And so,
what else is that organization doing? And tell me the name of it again.
It's the Education Foundation of St. Lucie County.
Education Foundation of St. Lucie County.
So we supplement and teachers, classrooms, students to success. We're champions for children.
Is that? I don't want to say your full-time job, obviously, because it's not. Is that your full-time, like what you're pouring most of your time in these days?
I'm pouring my heart into it.
Okay.
I'm pouring my heart into it because it was, they invited me to be a board member, and I just, of course I was honored, but I said, I think you need me in another capacity. I said, I have this platform now.
Yeah.
I said, let me get out in the community and shine a light.
Yeah.
And so
you're marketing it. You're getting it out there. That's
so
cool.
And it's something, like I said, that I can get behind, something that I feel really good about.
Is that the type of thing that people in the community can get involved with easily? Do you guys volunteer opportunities? Like, what does that look like?
Well, my husband says about me, he says, you don't take no for an answer.
Okay.
So you're going to listen to me whether you want to or not.
Yes.
So if I can take the time, if you can give me 3 minutes, let me explain to you why this is so important. Because I speak from the perspective, especially when you speak to a certain population of elderly, they don't understand, why am I still paying for the school tax? So I can explain why everybody deserves an opportunity to be successful.
Yeah.
Your doctor, your barber, every child deserves a public school education.
Yep.
And it's all of our responsibility to pay
good
for it.
one.
Exactly. And right now, like I said, to be A-rated schools, that's the future.
Yeah.
That is the future, that's our future workforce. We want to make sure that we're educating these children so that they stay in St. Lucie County.
Heck yeah.
We don't want to send people away. We raised up our kids. This community helped me raise up my son.
Yeah.
We want to keep them here and have a community that they're proud to be.
Yeah, it was such a cool place to grow up. Even when I was younger and I would get in trouble, right?
Yes.
The people who were maybe casting down that punishment or that caught you messing up,
right.
put soap in the fountain or whatever you want to admit to that you did. They knew you. They knew your family. And it wasn't hey, we're trying to sink you and put you under the jail. Right. It's like, hey, we got to cut this out in our community. We can't have this nonsense, right? Yeah, they're going to call dad. That was threat number one. Not good. Interesting. So I think obviously starting with our school system and the more the better. You hit on something that I think is maybe being talked about more and talked about in a negative light, and I'll phrase it kind of in the way that it's talked about, the way that I see it, is that boomers are really out of touch. And look, I'm not casting shade at you people, but you just said maybe our older citizens really they complain about paying into the public school tax or whatever, and in their mind they remember public school as the experience that they had.
Correct.
That doesn't exist anymore.
No.
And our kids today are put into very high pressure, very early on. You've got to perform on these tests, and learning is very different.
Right.
We need more of what you're doing. And anybody and everybody that can get involved, I think, look, you can complain about it or you can get involved and actually try to make a difference.
And that's just been my whole life. I had this responsibility. So like I said, I'm new to the foundation. I'm learning every day as I'm growing. But I'm going on tour. Okay. So now I'm going to start with these HOA, 55 and older communities.
Yep.
Let me come and speak. And let me talk about the Education Foundation. I wanted you to know what's going on right in our county.
And put it in their face. Give them an opportunity to get involved. And if they say no, then you got nothing to complain about anymore.
If you say no to a child, that's between you and God.
That's right. I don't know how anybody does.
How can you say no to a child? But, talking about that and, just having somebody, like I said, I'll make you feel seen and heard. Yeah. If you want to complain about it, I'm going to listen to you.
Yeah. So even just conversing with you about coming on the show, right? You were very, very excited.
Yes.
But my God, you offered up some great ideas too. You gave me 10 different things to think about before you came in, and it was wonderful. Any direction that anybody can give I need it. But no, I thought that was great.
And I love you. I do. I want to give you, I want to give you kudos.
Thanks.
I'm really proud of you for this. I love your format.
Thank you.
And I know you're in a crowded space in
Don't
podcasting.
care.
Exactly. Just keep sticking it. You got to keep, and that's community.
Yeah.
You got to show up.
So, just on that note, I'm not here to promote myself. And I kind of told you before, I started with the camera and recording myself for business purposes and making some silly videos, for marketing. And then I really kind of enjoyed being behind the camera. And I started talking. My grandfather wrote a autobiography for his grandkids before he passed away. And I started recording that for some of the family. And I really enjoy doing that. And I'm still kind of working my way through the story. And, I was born here.
Yes. My
dad was born here. My grandfather moved here when he was an infant. And my great-grandmother had a motel here, and I love everything about this area.
Me too.
I don't like a lot of the changes that have happened. And like we mentioned earlier, I could just complain about it like everybody else, or hop behind the camera, get some people in here and talk about what's going on and maybe make a difference. Whether or not we do or not, will to be determined. But having people like you come in and talk about the changes they're trying to make in the community is so valuable.
Yeah.
My social media is just filled and flooded with negatives. Mm-hmm. A lot of negatives that aren't even here in this area that have no impact on me. And so I fill my head with these negative thoughts and this negative stuff. Man, let's highlight some positives because there are some cool stuff that goes on here. Let's let's move on.
Okay.
Let's talk about some other things that maybe you've got your hand in or that you want to get your hand into. Something that I think is cool about our area here, and you'll have some perspective on this, is that we have law enforcement agents
Yes.
that stick around this area for a long time,
Right.
or at least we did. I know that now maybe we have some different challenges with people leaving for different departments.
Yes.
But a lot of the same law enforcement, fire department, those first responders, right? I knew them when I was a kid.
Absolutely.
And I've seen them grow into, I'll call them old people now.
Yeah.
But I think that's something that's cool. Those people, they want to serve this community.
Yes.
A lot of times they get bad raps. There's negatives. And look, there's goods and bads in every profession.
Exactly.
I don't think anybody would fight you on that.
Right.
As a law enforcement wife,
Right.
what's been your perspective on how law enforcement has changed in this area? How has it been good? What are the bads? What are the challenges that you see? That's something that's, I know plenty of law enforcement professionals. I don't get to talk to too many of them like this. So what challenges are they facing, or what challenges have they faced as the wife of someone who's been there? What have you seen?
So I was always very proud to be the spouse of a law enforcement officer. My husband would put on his badge, his gun, and his uniform, and he'd leave for the day. And I would be like, oh, I'm so proud of you. Oh, you look so handsome in that uniform.
Right.
And he was doing honest work. And he was always an honest cop. He was the kind of cop that if he was taking someone in custody and they were hungry, he would make sure they got a slice of pizza, bought them something to drink. He never made an arrest for any. People now to this day come back and thank him.
Yeah.
So you treated me with kindness. That's just who he is. And I was very proud of that. And then some years ago, there was this whole movement towards defunding the police.
Yeah.
And then the police became the bad guys.
Yep.
So I find in recent years that I don't lead with the law enforcement wife as much, because you never know how somebody's going to receive that, how they feel about law enforcement.
That landscape has definitely changed for sure.
It is. It saddens me.
Yeah.
Because
there are still good ones.
Oh, a lot of really good ones. I know. And like you said, there's bad eggs in everything.
Sure.
But, from my perspective, I was only around one of the good ones. But it is. And, we recently, my husband, he grew up with other officers, and this was back from the 80s. Mm-hmm. And so they're finding that some of their brothers are now passing away, and they decided they don't want to go to funerals.
Yeah.
They want to like a reunion of friends. And so a couple months ago, they put out a call to people that work for the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Department in the 80s, 85 and through 90. And they had a spectacular turnout, people we hadn't seen in years.
Yeah.
But there was that common connection. It was that thread of green.
I like that, not waiting until somebody passes away to get together,
viewed, right?
It's like the whole reunion thing has gone out the window with Facebook and social media. Reunions are less and less. Family reunions, class reunions, those things have kind of died off, right?
Right.
My 20-year reunion, a high school reunion just passed, and we didn't even have one. Like it just didn't come together. And I think that's more and more common.
Where'd you graduate?
John Carroll.
Okay.
Yeah.
What year?
2005.
Oh, okay.
So just past 20 years.
Okay.
I'm not.
Who was your favorite teacher?
Favorite teacher at John Carroll is Dan McDevitt.
Okay.
He was, and I mentioned in the episode that comes out today, so I don't want to beat a dead horse. I was a knucklehead in his class. He I had been familiar with Dan my whole life. My dad taught there for 25 years or whatever.
Nice.
And I had been around Dan my whole life. And then when he was my teacher, I kind of acted up in his class. Big regret. His class was so valuable. He was teaching accounting and business principles and typing and
typing.
I know typing now isn't that big of a skill, but in 2005
you needed it.
Still needed to improve, and computing. And Dan was teaching real world classes where some of the other classes, world history, and while they're important, they're not preparing you for day one outside of high school.
Exactly.
Dan's classes were that, and I wish that we had more of those classes available to everybody, because I know people don't write checks anymore, but like that was a basic skill that Dan made us learn, is how to write and balance a checkbook at that time. Is super, super valuable that, 5 years out of high school, I realized not very many people know how to do this. And it's like, wow, pretty easy life skill.
But I'm gonna digress just quickly.
Yeah.
And That's where, when I ran for this office, many people think that everything is all done by computer. You don't even need to go in and see, I can do everything online. You forget a certain population of people.
Yeah.
There are people that are not going to go online. They're not going to go and realize that they need an appointment. They're going to drive to the tax office. They're going to come with a big old bag of cash to pay their taxes. We can't forget that population of people. We can't just push everybody to do everything online.
Can't.
And so
either they don't want to or they don't have the ability to learn it.
and they don't want to.
And it's like, well, we can't just say that you don't exist or you can't do it
And
anymore.
that's what I was feeling.
Yeah.
They would show me this card, and they said, I went to the office, and they handed me a QR code, and they're like, Gabby, what is this?
Yeah.
I'm like, somebody didn't explain that to you?
No. No. And I see it, what you're describing, I see all the time in my business. I help people file for their Social Security benefits, right?
Okay, so you have a certain population.
I do. And there's a certain population that they don't even know what they're entitled to. They don't want to file online. They've never created an account. They don't know how to take
They don't
the
want a footprint online.
They don't, or like it's complicated. You have to upload a selfie and take a picture of your driver's license, and those things, they always go wrong.
Yes.
And they get frustrated, and then it's like, well, I'm just putting this off, and there's that in every aspect, I think, of life these days. Important to not exclude those people.
And that for me was always about making sure that I paid special attention, because they're, a certain they need a little bit more customer care. They need to be handheld a little bit more. Did you bring all the documents you need?
Yeah.
And then when you get ready to leave, let's make sure you did everything you needed to do so you don't have to come back again. But my name is Gabby. Here's my phone number. Call me.
Yeah. Here's my QR code. You can scan it.
No, we're not doing a QR code.
No, they don't like that.
The name is Gabby. It's Gabby.
That's it. I have a QR code on my business card, and I can look at analytics and see like how many times people have ever accessed. It's like 0.
What?
My demographic is 55 and over. They don't like QR codes.
They don't.
Nobody goes to my website from the QR code.
And I knew that when I was running, I knew the demographics. My voter population was 40 and above.
Yeah.
So if I was to go to like a beer bingo or to a senior bingo, I'm going to the senior bingo because they're my voters.
Those are the people who are going to go out and vote. So you want to talk to the people who are going to vote for you.
Those are more fun anyway.
Yeah. Old people bingo can get pretty crazy.
They are. They are ruthless. Right. Yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of covered what you've done so far in St. Lucie County.
Right.
Did I miss anything?
No.
Anything of highlight you want to talk about?
You're very perceptive.
Pretty
I love
good?
it. Yes.
Let's see. Barry University, right?
Absolutely.
I didn't miss anything.
Yes.
No, I like to look a little bit about the person who's coming in. I like to know some details.
Right.
I don't want to know everything.
No.
That kind of makes for a boring conversation if I know the answer to all the questions.
Exactly.
Not fun. All right. Without diving too deep into like your personal,
yes.
What comes next for you? You obviously have a passion for the area.
Yes.
You're not done helping yet.
No.
Plans changed after 2024. You're planning to be the tax collector.
Yes.
Which, again, I don't know anybody would want to be called that. I get it now. She's enlightened me. What comes next for Gabby? Like, you clearly, you're infectious. You market yourself. You want to be involved. You're here talking to me. So like you're willing to talk to just about anybody if you're talking to me. Where do you want to go next? What do you want to see happen here? Like what's the vision that you see you being involved in for the rest of your time?
Absolutely. So it's definitely, I'm definitely deep rooted in St. Lucie County. I started the business. Launching a business is hard.
Hard.
You really don't see much of a profit the first year. But I feel like I'm building a foundation.
Okay.
And maybe eventually my husband might join in partnership with me in the business. I haven't,
Tell me about that business a little bit. I'm
doing marketing and
there?
consulting and just, like I said, I'm a connector.
Yep.
I don't know if you ever knew Jane Rowley. She passed away recently.
I don't think so.
And she was that person. She was a connector. So I heard so many stories. Oh, Jane connected me with this to that person. And I just kind of feel like I feel that now I'm responsible for keeping that alive, being a connector.
A lot of times those great ideas are just like one connection away from becoming real. And
Right.
you have this person who wants to make this difference and this person who has this thing. And if they only knew each other, it would be electric. I think that's a phenomenal
And it's
spot.
not always about a need. I go to marketing events, okay?
Okay.
And at this point, I don't, it's the same old cast of characters. I tell my friends, if I don't sit there and exchange pleasantries with you, I'm working. I'm like a service dog. I put that vest on. I'm in that room. I'm going to touch every person in that room I don't know.
God, I need to hang out with you. I go into a room like that and I'm way more comfortable in the corner.
No. I'm right at my husband says, oh, no. She's like, she'll walk in and she'll come out with 10 new friends.
Yeah.
And I do that. But I also, if I meet somebody and I take their card, I always follow up and say, it was nice to meet you. But even if I don't need that card, I may run into somebody and say, you need to speak to this person who does computer.
Yep.
Like, I'm just connecting people. It's not just about with services or, businesses.
Having a small business, I think, gives you some real perspective in that.
Right.
Referrals are magic.
Yes.
If somebody hands my card to someone and says, hey, go talk to Dan, that is so much more valuable to me as the business owner.
And that's what I don't have to do that. And I know there's many people that say, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Why would you worry about it? It's just in me. It's just who I am.
Right.
And like I said, and I think ultimately, even if nobody ever says thank you, there may be a time where they come back and they'll stop me 5-10 years later. Thank you for that. You put me, and this like totally transformed the way I was thinking.
Right.
So I think it comes back to you.
And I think we can bring this full circle.
Right.
Somebody who's got 30 years of experience here in this area or longer, right?
Yes.
People who move here, I think a lot of times they're desperate for give me someone local who does this.
Yes.
I need this service done and
Absolutely.
I want a local person, but I don't know anybody.
Right.
It's really valuable for people like us who have been here a long time to be able to say, hey, you go talk to this guy and you're not going to get the runaround. You're not going to get a bad deal. They're going to give you what you need, not what you don't. And they're going to treat you like what we would expect our businesses here to treat people like. That's a tremendous thing that I think people like you can bring. You just say, hey, you don't have experience here, but I do. Let me tell you who to go talk to.
And that's, exactly. My husband and I both do that very well.
Yeah.
It's about helping others be successful. Although there's no ROI in that for us. It's just about...
There is, though. I'll challenge you on that. I'm going to push back. The ROI is that you're benefiting the area that you live in.
Absolutely.
And you're making this experience better for the people that are coming here.
That's what I say. They're new here. We need to show them why we love this community so much.
Right.
And we've already gone through, we've vetted all the people. And I know who does ACs. I know who's going to fix this. I know who you can call to.
And I know who's going to rip you off too, because there's plenty of those, right? And so if somebody's doing something or they're going to a business that I know for sure is not reputable or we wouldn't want, I'll tell you that too. Like works both ways.
I kind of steer away from that.
Not me.
Maybe I'll let you do that part. No, I kind of... Yeah, I steer away from that.
I won't blast you on the podcast or anything, but if someone's going to go get ripped off and I know it, I'm not going to let them do it, right?
My son had to train me about writing, when you go to an Airbnb, about doing reviews.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, oh, this was horrible. I said, I can't do it. And he said, Mom, you have a responsibility to do that for the next person so they know. And I'm like, okay, all right. But it still kills me to write a negative review.
Oh, yeah.
It kills me.
Yes, but it's so important because you want honest feedback. Because if you go to look at the reviews of that Airbnb, you don't want somebody to hide that there was dirt in the corner or like that there was a dirty toilet or whatever. And you want to know that. So
I just stayed in an Airbnb.
Okay.
The description said it was near the turnpike. So that makes you think, okay, this is accessible.
Yeah.
It was literally abutted to the turnpike where the turnpike traffic, and I said to the owner, the traffic is so, I've never heard a complaint before. And I'm like, okay.
Well, then you're not listening.
Well, then it's time to do a review on that and say, she literally means like,
You're literally on the turnpike.
Yes, exactly. It's like your bed is on the side of the...
Where are we going from here? Where does St. Lucie County go? What do you want to see? What's
I don't
next?
think the growth is slowing down.
Okay.
I don't think I said we need to embrace it.
Yeah.
We need to have voices. We need to be more and people be engaged. I've had people tell me, I've talked about politics more recently than I've had in my entire life. Well, thank you.
Right.
Get involved. Show up at a county commission meeting. Show up at a city council meeting. Whenever the trim notice comes out, I always take and put all the hearings on my calendar because I want to sit in the audience and I want to hear the people because I want to hear their needs. But I want them to know I'm one of the people. And when somebody gets, they don't often understand the millage rate, and they'll get angry enough to go and they'll stand up and they'll scream and yell. And when they get done, I will, kind of like will mouth good job, or I'll see them out in the hallway and say, I'm really proud of you.
Yeah.
That took a lot of courage to get up and speak.
Thanks for even coming.
Exactly. And you're probably the voice of many other people.
Yeah.
So I know that was scary. And they always end up thanking me, for that.
Yeah.
So just that somebody acknowledged that, they didn't feel like I was out alone. But get involved. Contact your county commissioners and ask them the questions. You're their boss.
Yeah. And I think we've entered this weird time where if you even remotely start to bring up politics to some people, they want to shut off. And I get it. It's 24/7. It's all you get to see. It's in your face all the time.
Exactly.
But local politics is a totally different discussion.
It is the closest to, and that's why I had such a hard time getting in front of groups to speak about. I wasn't there to talk about partisan politics.
Yeah.
I found out that there was very little education done by the office. It added 15 minutes to every single person I spoke to, just explaining the role. I said, let me get in front of a group and just explain the role of what this job includes.
Yeah.
And, no politics. And I'm like, I'm not here to talk about politics. I'm here to just give you a broad overview.
Yeah.
You make your own decision.
This is literally something that we pay for as taxpayers. We're paying for this office to exist. We better, or at least should, understand what they're doing in there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And so many, and so it really did. And that was something that I was very committed to, that I said, if I'm lucky enough to get elected, education is very important.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we need to do more education. And by then, once you're elected, then I can get into these HOAs and say, explain, okay, this is, maybe go with Michelle Franklin.
I'm not so evil. This isn't, we're not just here to take all your money. There are things that we're trying to benefit the community.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why, and sometimes, like we talked earlier about not reinventing the wheel, sometimes it's something very simple as a resident saying, have you ever thought about this? Mm-hmm. And it's like, wow.
Well, no, I hadn't, but that's a great idea.
And there we go. We can make this happen.
Yeah.
It's always about engaging with it. What are your needs?
And I think there's probably not as many barriers to local politics as people think that there are. Our local politicians are pretty accessible, and you can actually converse with them and get your voice actually heard by the people who are making some of those decisions.
Not always, though.
Not always.
Yeah.
Not always. But look, you can catch the commissioners around town. It's not like you're trying to talk to the president of the United States, right? You can find these people out and about. They live lives, and you can find them and you can have conversations with them. I think it's a lot less barrier than people think, A. But I think, two, there's a lot less difference of opinion when it comes to local politics than maybe some people think. Right. It's our national political scene has been divided into this left versus right thing. Mm-hmm. And at least in St. Lucie County, I don't want to say the way it's always been here, because there are people who will grab onto that and say the good old boy network. The way that it's worked here, I feel like, is that everybody can have a voice. And we do have different areas of our community that can weigh in, and they're all so different. But that they, look, we all live in this same beautiful place. Mm-hmm. I think we should all be trying to work towards making it better.
Right.
Whether or not we all agree on what making it better is, I don't know. But I think everybody here wants to make this place better, and they all have their own perspectives on that. I'm encouraged that there's still people that are actively out there trying to make this place better.
I honestly felt like I was a unicorn. Yeah. I felt like it opened my eyes when I was running. I thought everybody stepped up to run. I found out many people run for office, and I said, for power, paycheck, or somebody put them there.
It seems like the majority of people in these political races are there for personal gain first.
Yes, and I said, I am a complete, nobody is in this because they, but it is what it is. And I said this, I'm standing true to who I am.
Yeah.
And so, but the good old boy network, sometimes the residents will just recognize a name. May not be able to tell you anything the person's done.
No, it's just a popularity contest. their family's been here forever, so they got to be okay. And it's like, well, maybe not.
Maybe not. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Maybe you haven't heard anything because it's been kept from you.
Right. Or, maybe just explore what that person is actually promoting or what they want to do before you vote for them based on their name.
And I had many people reach out to me. I took every phone call. I mean, I get here's my phone, call me, email me, interview me. And I can tell you, P2P, they're going to pick me every time.
Yeah.
Because I'm real, and I'm not going to say anything I don't mean.
Right.
When I say I'm going to do something, it's going to get done.
So on that note, and, you feel free to plead the fifth on this one. Are you going to throw your hat into the ring again at some point? Is this something, an adventure you'll go on again?
Yes, and I definitely am going to. Okay. I do feel like it's a calling. I've been asked, I guess maybe it's kind of like, oh, let's get Gabby to do it. Let's push her.
You have the motivation.
Yeah.
Right. You have the personality. Yes. You're infectious. You want to go talk to people. Like you're the kind of person we need trying to advance this area.
And that's what these older men would say, 7:00 on a Sunday morning. Young lady, we need you to run for a higher seat. We need people like you in office. And I'm like, I'm just running to serve the people as your tax collector.
Yeah, right.
But
that's exciting. I'm glad that you're not discouraged by, you're taking the Abraham Lincoln approach. You're not going to get discouraged.
And of course, you'll get the people on Facebook and say, you're a loser, go away, you lost, get over it. And I'm what? I'm not a loser. I'm winning in life.
Get off Facebook and go touch grass, right? Yeah, Who's the loser now?
And that was the one thing in my campaign mentor, the best advice I was ever given by anybody. She'd been involved in politics. She'd been elected many times. And she said she could tell, like when things are starting to spiral. And she'd say, off Facebook. You're not allowed to read any comments.
Don't read the comments.
Do not read the comments. And she said, you need to get to the doors. And that was the best. So Dan, to this day, I'm still hearing comments I didn't know people were saying about me. So my son, no, seriously.
It's bad. People are bad on the internet.
Okay. So my son's girlfriend, I didn't realize my son was in a relationship until, right around the election. I meet her right after I just lost. And I'm like, oh, this is the worst time ever to meet me. But she followed. And so we just saw her at Christmas time, and she says, oh, did you know they were calling you Barbie? I said, no, I didn't know that, but wow, Barbie's pretty cool.
Barbie's not that bad.
Hey, Barbie's not bad. She's smart. She's killing it.
She's had a great run.
But I guess she thought that really would have insulted me. I'm no, nothing insults me. Anything you call me.
Tough skin, right?
I got alligator hide and Jesus on the inside.
That's what